Hi, welcome to Life Skills with Louie. Today we are talking about motivation and stages of change. If you haven't watched the introduction to the Paths Towards Change intro video, that might be helpful. And if you haven't watched the introduction to the Connect and to Clear section, that'll help you make sense of this section and how it all fits together. And finally, if you haven't watched the introduction to the entire video series, please do so, as that will be helpful for understanding the 5 sets of skills and how they fit together and when to use each skill. So today we're talking about motivation and stages of change. And I created this graphic, which, though I'm not really familiar with this, may look slightly satanic with the star. I don't totally know the symbol, but it's also very useful. So, oh well. This will just be perhaps something that'll make it helpful to remember, since it's slightly strange. 2 things about motivation. So these stages of change have been developed and available for decades now and are extremely helpful to understand. And they are key because correctly identifying where someone is in any habit is so helpful for then knowing how to meet them and how to meet yourself. Identifying where you are with a certain habit helps you to know how to meet yourself and be truly caring. If you want to be at a different stage or you think someone else is at a different stage, it creates conflict, and conflict tends to stall change. So paradoxically, it's not helpful. A word before I say more about the stages of change, just about motivation in general. Motivation is the engine of our system, and it is not one thing. It is many things. And it changes depending upon the behavior we're talking about, depending upon the context, the situation you're in. You might be motivated to do a certain behavior at home, but not at work, and vice versa. So it's something that it's, again, really helpful to have someone helping you with this so you're not in it alone, because it is complex and it's also understandable, and it may be mixed within you. You may have parts of you that want one thing and parts of you that want another, and that can be understandable too with the help of a therapist. I find getting to know your true motivations and your deeper motivations critical for change. So I'm always working with myself, with other people, to understand more deeply, what do you really care about? The habits that cause us problems are usually like a short-term gain. It's good to know what is that short-term gain, but long-term, they don't work well. I'm always trying to know what the deeper motivations are that someone has. What do they really care about? And it can take some real time to find that. I'll say more about that in a moment. So the 5 stages of change, I decided to use the terminology that is used in therapy because it's not that hard to grasp. Pre-contemplation, which has to do with you're not really thinking about change for a certain habit. Contemplation, you're thinking about it. You're on the fence. Part of you wants to, part of you doesn't want to. Preparation, you're preparing for change. Action, you are taking action, true action towards a change. And maintenance, you have made a change and you're maintaining it. The reason these lines are here is that you can move in a nice circle, or you can go from one to the other. It can change. So it's not like it has to go in this order. Many times it evolves in this order, but there can be backsliding for various reasons. So you're constantly having to be aware of, where am I at with my stage of change for this habit? And where is this other person at, if you're trying to be helpful to them? So I encourage people to read more about motivation and stages of change online. There's tons of information about stages of change, and it's a very important thing to explore to really understand yourself and others. And I'm going to say a little bit about how to meet yourself or another person at each of these stages. So pre-contemplation, if you're not really thinking about changing a habit, you don't feel any desire, any need to, then it's really about care building your awareness, getting to know more about yourself or about another person, and looking for that deeper motivation. When people are in this stage, that's always what I'm doing. I'm validating where they're at. I'm getting to know them better. And I am looking to understand more about their deeper or deepest goals in life. What really drives them now, or if that's missing currently, what has driven them in the past? And it may take time to do that, but that becomes the focus. So you can see how if you're trying to meet someone and make them go to action, but they're really here, how you'll miss the boat if you try to make them go do something. But it's really about them remembering what they deeply care about. Contemplation is when someone is thinking about change. The term that's used in therapy is they say develop discrepancy. So start to help someone or help yourself see how the habit you're doing is not working for your deeper goals and motivations. And that's a fine way to talk about it. Another way that I'm finding helpful these days, internal family system has a really beautiful word, unblending. When someone is really in a habit, they're kind of blended with it. They're really connected to it, and helping them to see why they're doing what they're doing with us from a space of curiosity and care, and helping them over time to understand the consequences and understand how it all happens, which we'll learn more about in behavior analysis, can help someone to just unblend, to get a little bit of distance and understand the behavior better. And in that process of understanding it better, then you naturally start to move to a place of feeling more of a sense of mastery. Oh, I kind of get how I am this way. And then it seems to just happen that people are then more ready to move forward and change. The next stage along is preparation, where you are actively preparing to make a change. You're really thinking through all the pitfalls and all the ways in which things might not work out and how have things not worked out in the past. And if someone's in this stage, you meet them by becoming a helper in preparation, helping them problem solve and work through and try to see what are the patterns that might come up and when they come up, to get themselves ready for action. When it's time for action, then you're helping someone take the step they need to take to kind of boldly pick a date to quit something or get more help that they need, whatever it might be. You help them to take action. And then in the maintenance stage, you are helping them to stay on top of and be aware of these lingering vulnerabilities that may show up and the reasons why the behavior was there in the first place. And you're either helping someone else or you're helping yourself to maintain and stay with a certain level of vigilance. When people lose that, tends to cause issues because these types of habits can be sneaky and they come back. So I hope this is helpful for beginning to understand the stages of change. Please look into this further. And the last thing I'll talk about with this is that what you say in your mind or what someone else says is not always the truth of what stage you're in. It's more about what you do. So if you say, oh, I'm ready to change, but then you keep doing the thing, or you leave a lot of doors open to do the thing, you haven't really burned bridges, another skill we'll learn later on in the section, then you may still be more in the contemplation preparation, not like fully in action yet. And that's okay. It's just something to be aware of. So I hope you find this helpful, and please continue to learn more about this and use this as a critical practice for changing habits.